Point finally returned, the last reality is back, and the OG storyline being changed in real time. The Fortnite storyline is getting insane. We're going to be hitting every new part of the storyline, the full rundown of what is happening on the island, and well, outside of our island too. I'll explain that later. Following the live event with the Death Star, our characters crash landed on the new island. But we had some new abilities, which were superpowers, we know this. But what came with this new season was insane. The new location, Utopia. This place has something crazy hidden inside of it. Players have found this portal, and when looking inside, it shows something insane. Taking a look at the Utopia from above helps us see it even more. Let me give you a quick rundown of what we're looking at here. Back in Chapter 1 Season 8, we had an unvaulting live event. In this live event, we went to this giant vault under the loot lake, and when we saw the 0 point for the very first time. And then we got to choose which weapon we wanted to unvault, but while we were there was a helmet on the table that was there. And this turned out to be the Singularity's helmet. In Season 9, the Singularity came to our island to fix everything, and she created a Utopia. That was the name of her challenges. Skip forward to Chapter 6, and this new Utopia location has a portal leading to the very first place we originally saw the 0 point and the Singularity. Also, when looking from above, it matches the same layout that the vault did back in Chapter 1. This giant gold orb representing the 0 point. Now it could be a giant coincidence. In the portal, it is literally the vault location. But this means that not only the Singularity is possibly making a return, but this also means that the OG is canon to this current storyline. The reason this is here is because we are currently collecting 0 point shards to rebuild the 0 point. And surprisingly, Midas is actually leading us in this. If you go up to the portal, Midas will walk out and talk to us. It is revealed that he is keeping guard and fixing the 0 point. I have some crazy theories for Midas, but I'll put those at the end of the video. When you talk to Midas, after he comes out of the portal in Utopia, he says, "It seems I have a shadow. You're lucky. I've always had a fondness for shadows, Mist." I think that's a reference for Chapter 2 Season 4 whenever he was in the spirit realm. Then he also says, yes, this vault is intended to hold the 0 point shard once we have collected it. Then he says, "You're not a bad spy if inexperienced. Your first lesson is espionage, know when to keep a secret." I don't really know what that means. I think that's part of the storyline quests, but I haven't been doing them, I'm not gonna lie. If we skip over to the actual OG mode, Season 4 has just arrived. The visitor is in the battle pass, but he's different this time. Instead of it just being a reskin, he's actually a part of the storyline, because this is where things get crazy. This isn't the first time the visitor has been here. In his description, he says he remembers this place, which means this could be the original visitor from our timeline in Chapter 1 all those years ago, and that this might actually be some sort of time loop he's stuck in. But why would he even be here? My theory is that when the Chrome captured him, the last reality have placed him in an infinite loop here to torture him, or something, I don't know for sure. But this is where we come into play, because in Chapter 6, we have this new portal, and this portal takes us to the Chapter 1 vault. But do you remember the Imagined Order? We haven't heard from them since Chapter 3. They were originally on the Chapter 1 island. These bunkers were the entrances to their headquarters. Well, back in Chapter 1, these bunkers never moved, never opened, or never showed sign of life. We always just wondered what they were. But it was only until Chapter 2 when we found out what they actually were. They were doors to the underground IO base. But in this timeline, things are playing out a little differently, because the bunkers are actually changing the storyline. I heard that in the new update, there was something different about these bunkers. So I walked up to them and waited, and waited, and waited, until finally this happened. No sound, just flashing lights coming through the windows. They're trying to tell us something. When translating these lights to Morse code, it gets us this sentence: something is wrong. This is super weird, because if the Imagined Order is actually doing this, who are they trying to reach with this message? No one on this island knows the Imagined Order exists, supposedly, besides the visitor. But still, the Imagined Order and the Seven have never worked together, besides one incident in Chapter 1 when the Paradigm worked with them, but that was against her will. So this just kind of remains a mystery, but what doesn't remain a mystery is the fact that the Imagined Order can tell something is wrong. And maybe the presence they feel is the portal that we have just opened to the 0 point. And maybe if the Imagined Order starts to investigate, this could end badly for us. Another thing they might sense is wrong is either the Visitor, that he's back but he knows what he's doing and he's been here before and he remembers it, or maybe the fact that the 0 point is destroyed in our world and when we open the portal it nixed them. I don't really know. But I'm definitely glad that Fortnite has decided to tie everything together. We still have the whole Chapter 6 base storyline. This is just the OG stuff. Because Daigo isn't getting any better. In fact, he is getting worse. And our Chapter 6 island is in serious danger because of it. Daigo has spires around the island that are attempting to bring the spirit realm to the island. And if this happens, Season 4 will be a full-on invasion. The Dark Presence is getting worse, and the Dark Presence has complete control over Daigo, causing him to do all this evil. He doesn't actually want to do it, but he told us that he can't control it. We don't know who the Dark Presence is. Some people think it's the Nothing, but some people still suggest it's Geno or the Shapeless Man. But it could be a completely new character. The only thing that makes me wonder it might be the Shapeless Man is because of all this OG stuff that we're attaching to. I mentioned the last reality though in the intro. And yes, the last reality might actually be back, because in the challenges it is revealed that Daigo is working with the Storm King, and the Storm King was originally correlated to the last reality. We've had a pretty crazy video so far, and this storyline is only getting better. But I have some crazy theories, and while I tell you mine, you should comment yours down below. Alright, so theory 1. Midas will most likely betray us when he gets the 0 point. Even Hope knows this as a possibility. She says saving the world just keeps getting more complicated. Glad we are getting more allies together. I'm impressed, yeah. Midas is bankrolling Supernova Academy, and our other special project, the Vault. I know what you're thinking, and I agree with you, trusting Midas is a risk. But not securing the shard is an even bigger risk, and I don't mean this just to the island. Plus, if there are more shards out there causing problems, we really need the vault. Okay, so why would Midas come up out of nowhere just to work with us? He has always wanted power, and personally, I think it's dangerous that we let him have the 0 point shards all alone in the vault. Midas also used to work with the Imagined Order, and if there was some sort of time loop going on here, maybe this is how he joined them in the first place. I don't know. Theory 2. The Rocket Live event will have a different outcome. There's a chance that instead of leaving the island like the Visitor did originally, he drives straight to the 0 point. Or, when he does leave the island, we see him fly around in the Chapter 6 world. And maybe he would even land in the Chapter 6. I don't really know. That one's just a crazy theory. But I've got 2 more theories. Theory 3. What if the Singularity only ever showed up in the vault in Chapter 1 because we entered it in Chapter 6? Kind of like a weird time loop. Like, we opened the Utopia portal from Chapter 6 to Chapter 1, and then the Singularity showed up in Chapter 6, and we hired her to take control of the vault in Chapter 1. She goes back through the portal, and that's how she's in Chapter 1 originally. I don't know, that's a crazy theory. But considering the name Utopia, the vault, the Utopia in Chapter 1, and Chapter 6, it's there's something going on here. And finally, theory 4. A theory I saw on X by Eldorin Gaming was that OG didn't exist until a few days after the 0 point shard crashed onto the island. I believe the 0 point shard caused an alternate Athena to start growing on the flip side. This would be actually pretty crazy if the flip side had the Chapter 1 island on it, because we saw that there was a bubble and it was an island in the middle of the bubble, so there has to be something on the other side, right? All I know is that Jones must be going crazy right now that we are back on the Chapter 1 island and with the 0 points, because this is all where it started for him, at least I think. I'm super hyped that all of this is coming back, And if you guys have been around for a while, you know that I used to make storyline videos all the time, and I kinda stopped this year. Just because I feel like it's been off and on with Fortnite. They haven't really had a solid storyline going, but recently, they've been picking it up. That's why I decided to make this video.